Now in this video, we're going to take a look at adding some design elements to a photo just to make it a little bit more elegant looking, a little bit more professional looking. And it could be used for something in a commercial sense, or even something you want to frame and hang in your home as kind of a seasonal image or something like that. So here I have this stock image of this tree just kind of sitting on the horizon and everything like that. It's a really interesting shot, but we're going to do a few things to it first. Well, the first thing is I'm going to take the color information out of it by doing my little gradient map trick. So I'm going to press D on the keyboard to set the default colors, and then just go to Image Adjustments and choose Gradient Map. And that's going to go ahead and force the image to black and white. There we go. Now I'm going to add a little bit more of a kind of illustrated feel to it by going to the filter menu and going to Texture and choose Grain. And you'll notice right here, I'm actually going to set my intensity at around 7. And the contrast, you don't want to set it at 0. I'm actually going to put it at around 3, and it's going to give it a little bit lighter effect to it. But it gives it a more graphical look and less like a photograph, and that looks pretty good. Even though this was a process photo to begin with, it still started out as a photo. So, more importantly, the grain type down here, make sure it's set to speckle. I'm talking about setting the numbers, but you've got to make sure that the grain type is set to speckle, and then set the numbers to 7 and 3, or around those areas. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now, gives me this effect here. It looks pretty good, but it's a little overdone. So immediately after you apply that filter, don't do anything else, but go under the Edit menu and choose Fade Grain. And this is essentially undo on a slider. And I'm just going to go ahead and set this to 50%, so it reduces that grain effect by 50%. And there we have it. So you can see it's maintaining a little bit of the original image, but still applying a good deal of that, that grain effect to it. And then finally, I want to add a color effect to it. Well, not finally, but as far as the background image goes, I'm going to go ahead and add a hue saturation adjustment layer and check on colorize. And let's just give it kind of a blue cast on the image here, and it looks pretty good. Now I want to add a simple design element, which is a box with a stroke around it. Now I'm going to do this in the way of a layer style with a simple box shape. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw out an elliptical marquee selection here. You can do this with a shape layer as well. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. And go ahead and create a new blank layer and just give it a base 50% gray fill there. And I'm just going to go ahead and center it. Let's just do a Command A and then horizontal and vertical center that box, and then there we go. Now, I'm going to go into the layer style menu here. Let's just double click on the layer to open up the layer styles. And first thing is, I want to only see the layer style in this case. I don't want to see the original pixels. So we're going to go to the advanced blending section here in the blending options and just bring the fill opacity to 0. Not the main opacity, but rather the fill opacity. And then we're going to go ahead and apply the stroke, and let's take the stroke color, and let's just sample the dark blue that's in the image already. And it's actually sampling the gray because of the adjustment layer. So let's just go ahead and get a dark blue color here. There we go. And let's set it to the inside, and the width, I think the size is fine. 5, I believe, is good, and it looks pretty good there. So we'll go ahead and click OK, and there we've got our cool box around the shape. So let's go ahead and set a text layer. And I'm just going to go ahead and type winter. Let's give this kind of a artistic feel. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in my favorite font being Futura. And let's space it out a little bit here. And again, I'm going to sample that background color. It lets me do it here because we're not in the layer style panel. I'm going to go ahead and do a select all, and let's just go ahead and center that text. And there is pretty much a finished design. So all we did was we applied a little bit of a filter effect to treat the image a little bit, put a little bit of a color cast on it, created the box, and then put the text in. It's 4 simple things, but in the end, you've got a rather intriguing image to look at. You can see this in a frame and perhaps hanging in your office or in your home, but it's a way of taking a simple shot and then doing a few things to it to give it a really elegant look in the end there, just playing with some layer effects. Pretty cool, huh?